Welcome to The Way Home with Laura Smith, the show that brings you wonderful guests, helpful advice, and uplifting stories. The Way Home. Live inspired. Here's your host, Laura Smith.
I had the really good pleasure about a month ago to attend a talk by a particular doctor about all sorts of things. And I absolutely loved his practical advice when it came to health and health taken naturally, and then also about this particular product he was talking about. And it was quite eye-opening for me. And so I want to introduce to you Dr. Don Verhulst. He is a teacher, an ordained minister, and a speaker. He's hosted an internationally syndicated television program, actually, that was called Hope for Your Health. He did that for 10 years. And he, as I mentioned, embraces a very naturopathic philosophy when it comes to health. And he's dedicated his life to teaching the principles of preventative medicine. He received his undergraduate degree from the University of Michigan and his doctorate to be a doctor from Wayne State University School of Medicine. He's also the author of 5 books, one of which I snatched that night when I met him, which I love. It's Dr. Don Verhulst, Do This and Live Healthy, 10 Simple Keys That Cure. Dr. Don, we're going to stick with that. If you were a Smith like I was, I'd use your last name too. But Dr. Don is what everybody knows you as, and I love that. So welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm excited about it.
I really enjoyed the talk that night. Not only was just your demeanor was so welcoming, so warm, and basically I think our philosophies match when it comes to health, but you put things in ways that I think were really easy to grasp for the audience. There were people there of all ages, really, except for children, but there were people there from all different backgrounds, all different ages. And the way you spoke was very easy for us to grasp what you were trying to say about health, prevention of, diseases and such. And then when you went on to describe and talk about this product that I ended up buying, which I think a lot of people in our area have heard about it, and they're using it as well, the X39 phototherapy patch. And I think people are interested in hearing not only your background and how you got into it, but what this patch is and does for people or can do. And in your case, I know you've had a lot of wonderful benefits from it.
Yes, I have. And, I've been 40 years as an MD, and my specialty is in getting people off of pharmaceuticals, believe it or not, kind of unusual, natural alternatives, teaching people how to detoxify their body, balance their blood and immune system, mainly using vitamins, minerals, herbs. And all of my books I base on the 10 keys that cure, or at least include them in the book. And it's a little song that I made up so that people would remember them. And they're not the only thing important for your health, but they're foundational things that everybody should remember. And that's kind of part of my calling, is to take something that can be as complicated as your health and simplify it. And the song goes like this: learn to relax, get to bed on time, and do your exercise. Breathe fresh air when the sun's out there, and eat like this little rhyme: fruits and vegetables, whole grains, white if you choose meat. Drink what you're mostly made of. Water makes your health complete. And those are the 10 keys that cure. And that's what I have been teaching people and doing for 40 years. And when I say get people off pharmaceuticals, I'm not against pharmaceuticals at all. If you break your leg or have a heart attack, please don't come to me for natural alternatives. You need to go to the emergency room, and thank God for the intensive care area if you need that. But I still think prevention is the way to go, and using natural alternatives whenever you can. And sometimes it's not prudent to try to get off a pharmaceutical, but most of the time it is, and we can do it. So that's what I was doing. And in the process of doing that, I was introduced to these phototherapy patches that you mentioned, and I did not get it. When I first heard about it, I was hugely skeptical. My wife shared it because of some good friends of ours. He was also a doctor. He and his wife had success with carpal tunnel syndrome and blood pressure balancing and different things. but I just was not, it sounded like a gimmick to me. And I told my wife, Susan, I'm not going to tell people to put a sticker on them and it'll heal them. I was born at night, but not last night. Well, she told me there's clinical studies. And honestly, when I looked at the clinical studies, I wasn't doing it to verify the science. I didn't think there could be any. I was doing it to prove to her I'm not getting involved with it. Well, when I looked at the studies, there were over 80 studies, and they were double-blind, placebo-controlled, independent, not done by the company that makes the patches. And some of them were done at the #2 stem cell research facility in the world, which was impressive. And then finally, some of them were peer-reviewed. So that's the highest level of scientific scrutiny. And there was a 20-year global patent on the patch as well. So I convinced myself that obviously this is real, it's duplicatable, it's solid science. And then I just wanted to know, was it safe? And because it's non-transdermal, which most people are not familiar with, no chemicals are involved. It's really light therapy. It simply uses your body's heat, your 98.6, your temperature, which is infrared. When the patch is about the size of a quarter, you put it anywhere on your body. You wear it 12 hours activation, then you take it off so your body doesn't get used to it for 12 hours. Put one back on the next day. You wear it 7 days in a row. But it takes your body's heat. When your body heat hits the media in the patch, it forms a very specific wavelength of light that then causes the change in your body that's clinically studied. And in the case of the patch that you mentioned, it is stem cell rejuvenation. And people have heard about stem cells, and they're excited about it for good reason. It's the #1 breakthrough in 40 years of medicine that I've seen, both in the traditional sense that I was trained in and even in natural alternatives, but not in a way to do it with your own body rejuvenating your stem cells. And stem cells are exciting because a stem cell is a cell that can become anything your body needs, whether it's a cardiovascular area, it could be a heart muscle cell, an endothelial cell lining a blood vessel. It can be a skin cell, a bone cell, an immune system cell, a liver cell. And here's what most people don't know about these stem cells is that by the time you're 35, you've lost 50% of your stem cell activity. And by the time you're 65, you've lost 90% of your stem cell activity. So what these patches are doing is simply waking up the stem cells that have been working in your body all your life, but they're just not working as efficiently or as effectively, and there aren't as many as when you were younger. So it is safe and it is effective. And it's really the most exciting breakthrough I've ever seen in 40 years of doing natural alternatives and as an MD physician, even in traditional medicine. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. When I heard you talk about it the first time, I remembered when I was living in New York, I had a different show and I had interviewed this gentleman. So we're talking maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and he was talking about stem cells, but he was basically almost being censored at that point. And, it was very hard for him to get his information out because it was almost like a miracle. And people were, for whatever reason, that the medical community didn't want to embrace it. But he said, you mark my word, he said stem cell therapy and stem cell rejuvenation and using it for everything, he said, is going to be the way of the future. Just wait and see. And so here it is now. I go to see you some 12 years later from listening and talking to that gentleman and talking to you. And I feel like, okay, the future is here. People are getting it. What was hard for me was how to understand the light therapy situation. So if you put the patch on, which I have on right now as we speak, it's kind of between my shoulder blades. And I wonder what does light have? How do you get light from that? I understand the heat point because it's on your skin. But how about light? Because it wouldn't, where's the light coming from? Because my hair is covering it and so are my clothes. And
that's what the patent is on. And it's the configuration in the patch. is organic amino acids and electrolytes, but they're in a microcrystalline stereoisomer. Now, what that means is when infrared hits that configuration, it makes light. It makes light a very specific wavelength of light that goes in your body. Now, this sounds kind of futuristic and unusual, and in a way it is, but it's as old as life itself because it's the exact same process as sunlight hitting your skin and making vitamin D. That's the most well-known form of light therapy, but the sun's a long ways away, and the sun contains all spectrums of light, infrared, ultraviolet, and visible spectrum, and it's a long ways away. This takes that process and capitalizes on it, amplifies it with one wavelength of light, in this case, one that is clinically studied to enhance stem cell activity. And I'll tell you about one study we have. Every 6 weeks you wear this patch is shown to reverse age your cardiovascular system by 8 weeks. That is powerful, and it even works on a genetic basis within 24 hours of putting on the patch. The very first time, and we have clinical verification of this as well, that you're communicating with 4,100 of your 18,000 genes to express at a healthier, more youthful level. That's powerful. And people have the idea that, if you have genes for something, well, you're going to get it, right? And if you don't, you won't. Well, no. Genetics loads the gun, but there's a lot of things that determine whether the trigger is pulled. So this works on that level as well. But I'm no stranger, and the company's no stranger to being scrutinized about, like you mentioned, the kind of taking the heat for doing some of these things in the stem cell arena. But because we've got the clinicals and there's a 20-year global patent on it, and it's really just verifiable. And the biggest challenge that I found with it is this. We don't know when someone's going to feel a difference on a given individual. 80% of people, it's 3 to 6 weeks. It's like a bell curve, but 10% are quicker than that. We love when that happens. We call it one patch wonders, 1 day, 1 week, whatever. But 10% also are longer than that 3 to 6 week period. And we can't tell where people fall unless you wear the patch consistently 7 days a week. And most commonly, I hear from 100% of people eventually will feel energy. They just feel better, a general sense of well-being, and then sleeping better. That is routine across the board. Also, though, less pain and inflammation, clearer, more focused thinking. Skin changes are common, GI changes. Those are very common too. But the challenge is keeping people wearing it because it takes time. And even if you don't feel something, it doesn't mean it's not working. We've got the clinical studies to show you what it's doing. So it's as simple as putting the patch on. And it sounds too good to be true. And I was not an early adopter, as I said, but I'm very passionate about it now. I've been doing it 3 years. I've literally helped thousands of people, life-changing ways. If you'd heard some of the testimonies I've heard on anything and everything, because it does work in the entire body. I mean, traditional stem cell therapy, you could take, and people are still doing this, MDs like myself. I don't do this, but colleagues do, taking fatty tissue or bone marrow and concentrating your old worn-out stem cells, re-injecting them. And that can be effective. And I like that process. I'm a fan of that, but it's basically limited to joints. This is everything. I mean, a stem cell can become an immune cell. An immune cell can become a T4 killer cell that eats abnormal growths in your body or fights infections. It can become, it doesn't matter what. And it's smart technology in that it goes to work on the most important thing first. Then when it corrects that, it goes to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So it's difficult to predict when an individual might notice something depending on what's going on in their body, but it's the body that heals anyway. No doctor heals anyone. My job, I feel as a physician, is help people keep their bodies in the best condition so it can do what it needs to do. And this is just another powerful tool in your tool belt. It's the most powerful tool I've worked with in 40 years, and I've done a lot of things with a lot of success, but nothing like this. And it doesn't take the place of those 10 keys. I mean, you still need to get to bed on time and do your exercise and stay hydrated. But all of that even works better with this. So it's just a beautiful, natural approach that's safe, effective, and highly affordable, not the tens of thousands that traditional stem cell therapy costs. This is just a few dollars a day.
Right, right. So two things strike me, and that is, one, I would like to hear about the gentleman that discovered this or formulated it, however you would put it. And then secondly, I would like to hear some of the testimonies of either with yourself directly, your family,
Yes.
or people that you have worked with that have come to you for information on it and,
Yep.
and you've observed. I would love to hear some of those as well.
Okay. And the inventor is a man named David Schmidt. He's the smartest man I've ever met. He's got over 200 patents, and he's not a doctor. His expertise is in bioelectrics. And in 1999, the U.S. Department of Defense came to him and asked him to find a way to keep the Navy SEALs awake. They were on long missions, in submarines for 36 to 48 hours without caffeine or amphetamines. And he literally invented the science of photobiomodulation, which is the way of saying this. It's wearable light therapy. He invented it on a patch called the Energy Enhancer. We still have that patch. And the Navy SEALs did great with it, but 9/11 happened and the funding went away. So he had the patent, and in 2004, he started the company. So this is not some new kid on the block. The company's been around over 20 years, and he invented many other patches since then. Probably the most successful was the anti-inflammatory patch until 4 years ago, when after 10 years of research and $4 million of his own money, he finally got the patch that's the stem cell activating patch that passed the clinical muster that it needed to. And that is the flagship patch that really has been so life-changing. So that's where it came from and who he is. And personally, I didn't feel anything for 5 weeks. My wife at the same time had a shoulder injury, rotator cuff repair, and she got off of wearing her brace on her foot for plantar fasciitis. And I'm like, Susan, I don't feel anything. And she said, well, you're not getting up 3 times a night, waking me up to go to the restroom. And I didn't remember that, because when you get to be my age, I'm 69. Most men, even a decade before that or two, start having to go get up at night. And boy, that was gone. And that's been on 3 years now, almost. I've been patching, no problem there. But I had my greatest personal experience from months 9 to 12, where I experienced a neurotransmitter balancing in my brain, because I've struggled with clinical depression, very severe, for 30 years. Once or twice a year, it will hit me, and it's horrible. And I have not experienced that for 2 years, not even a little at all. I mean, it just balanced my brain. So that's personally. But I had a 10-year-old son, a boy that came to me. His mom brought him to me, who had his heart stopped when he was a baby, and he had brain damage, and he was a 3-year-old operating at the level of a 3-year-old. She was going through 50 diapers a week, and he's on seizure medications and couldn't do one task to the next, a 3-year-old mentality. And we started patching him. And the very first week, he went down to 8 diapers, started telling his mom that he had to use the restroom. His brain just clicked in, and it took him about 6 months to a year. He's riding a bike without training wheels. He's reading at a second grade level, and he's off of all medications. And all they did was start wearing this patch. So that's very exciting. But my favorite testimony is my friend Bob Campbell, who carried the mail for 30 years. He's retired for many years now. He's 77 years old. But he had this chronic neuropathy, just terrible pain in his feet and knees. If a sheet touched his toes at night in bed, it was sharp pain. He couldn't put weight on his feet. Horrible neuropathy. He'd had 7 operations on his knees and 4 on his feet. He starts patching. And the very first month, he feels great energy. In the second month, he sleeps better, but the pain didn't change. In the third month, he got off of prostate medicine that he had tried for 12 years to get off 3 times. He had been on it 12 years. completely got off it and didn't need it, but the pain didn't change. In the 4th month, he had some cancerous skin cancers on his head that he had removed many years before he started patching, and they grew back, and he knew he was going to have to get them removed. In the 4th month, they fell off, but the pain didn't change. It didn't change in the 5th or 6th month, but he had great energy. He's sleeping better, off the prostate medicine. The cancers fell off. It was the middle of the 7th month. One day he got a pain completely gone. Now, I say that's my favorite testimony because I'd rather under promise and over deliver, but there were a lot of things going on in his body and it worked through them. And eventually it worked, but that's an encouragement for people to keep patching, even if they don't think it's doing anything. We can measure it. We can measure biological age, for example. That's your age on the inside. Your chronological age is how many candles on your birthday cake. And we actually did a study of wearing the patches for 6 months, people ages 50 to 70, and we aged them before biologically. And you can do that very accurately for just, $200 to $500. I can tell you what your biological age is. Then at the end of 6 months, we aged them again. The average person lost 8 years of biological age in just 6 months. So these are some of the exciting things that are possible now. And what I love about it is it won't interfere with pharmaceuticals, over-the-counter medications, vitamins, minerals, herbs, because it's non-chemical. It's light therapy. It's as safe as going in the sun, but it takes a very specific wavelength. So it is the reverse aging science of the future. Even if someone doesn't have any problems, if they just want to prevent sickness or reverse aging, I'd highly recommend it. And like I said, it's only a few dollars a day, and it's your own body doing what it's been doing all of your life, but it's doing it at a younger level. Very exciting to me.
Very, very exciting. And again, I am wearing one right now. I'm probably in my, I'm going into my 2nd month on the patches, and we'll see. I mean, I can tell you that I don't feel much pain or anything adverse going on at all. And I don't know whether or not it's the patches, but I will say that, I'm grateful that I have nothing to report like, oh, this has started since I got on it and it's not a good thing. I don't feel that whatsoever. And I just encourage people to, get to know you, your website, Dr. Don. Is it drdon.com?
Yeah, DRDONMD.com, drdonmd.com.
Okay, there that is. And then also to get your wonderful book, Do This and Live Healthy, 10 Simple Keys That Cure. And they'll get a lot out of that as well. But to hear more about the patches, what's a good place to find you besides your website? Do you consult with people? Can people...
Yes.
How do they get their questions answered?
You can make an appointment with me on the drdonmd.com website, and I do consultations with people. I do actually free half-hour consultations just to kind of get a baseline, find out what's going on, and I'm happy to do that. I do that on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, and you can sign up for that on the drdonmd.com, or you can call us at area code 616-299-0873.
Wow. You have a good memory too. I wonder if the patches are good for that.
They are.
That's awesome. And I have to tell you, we're on Zoom right now, so I can see you. My audience cannot. They can only hear you. But I'll tell you what, you cannot convince me that you are 69 years old. You honestly, if you're really serious about this reverse aging technology within the power of the X39 stem cell activation patch, it works on you, because I swear you're 50 years old. It's kind of crazy. So I want whatever you're having, and thank goodness I have one on right now. Dr. Don, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, and you have a wonderful delivery, and maybe, you never know, somebody hearing this just might take you up on all of it, and maybe their life will change in so many positive ways as well. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to help anyone in any way that I can. So looking forward to talking with you again soon.
Perfect. That's drdonmd.com, DRDON MD.com. You're listening to The Way Home. I'm Laura Smith. We'll be right back.
Hi, here's a minute of purpose, improving your life 60 seconds at a time. There's a saying that goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. That's why self-care is more important than ever before. Don't say you're too busy. A little time out will make you healthier and more productive. Here are some fun ways to do a self-care day. Start by getting out of your quarantine outfit and revisiting clothes that make you feel good. If you like to read, pick up a favorite book or magazine. Just avoid anything that feels work-related. Throw a dance party in your living room, revisiting your favorite songs, or create a movie marathon with titles that make you smile. Nature is always a good remedy for what ails you, so take a walk. On that note, disconnect from the screens and just take in what's going on around you. The point of taking time for yourself is to bring you back to your world, refreshed and ready. So plan your next self-care day and refill your cup. This has been your Minute of Purpose. Find more now at nowwithpurpose.com.
Thank you for listening to The Way Home. Each and every one of you are a part of the Way Home family, and we just wish for nothing but great happiness and safety and good health and prosperity, success, everything that you can possibly have to make your life a good one. And we'll see you next time on The Way Home. I'm Laura Smith.
Podcasts by Federated Media.